Hey everyone, it is a really nice Sunday. I recorded this message earlier today and I was having some audio problems, so I had to delete it. No! But I think I retained enough information and I think I retained enough of what I said to repeat it again. I was saying how it's quite fascinating that we have these funny words like today is Sunday. Get it? Sunday. And we also say the words sunset. And if you didn't study ancient Egyptian history, shame on you. At this point, you should know that Ra, the sun god, had a son called Set. Sunset. As we watch the sunset. So, Horus would be the sunrise because it is the rebirth of another life, another day. It's really quite fascinating what you can extract off of something so simple as those statements. But so I wanted to express a message because I personally I started getting a little bit weary of I think there's a mole in our community because I'm starting to see messages and people talk about certain things, and then I when I try to empathize, or if I try to use my gut instinct or gut feelings about who I'm listening to, I don't feel like their information is valid. So I wanted to express to you guys that something's very strange that's going on. We are to use discernment. It just breaks my heart because I was watching something this morning and what I was watching this morning, I was a little bit concerned because there's a guest on the show, and I'm always like, why is this person around? Like, it seems as though someone is trying to infect our truth community. This guy spiritually doesn't even believe in God. He believes of another origin of history and he has another truth. But it's like, if people are going to speak about prophecy and speak about learning experiences, teaching us about our soul journeys and whatnot, they have to have some type of source of divine connection, connection to source, connection to Father, things like that. But it's like I get worried about people I care about, but then again I have to detach from someone else's delusion. Another thing too that I get confused about is I hear people talk about light bringers and light workers, but every time I hear about that, I always think about light bearer, and that was Lucifer. So if you're claiming you're a light worker, then you are manifesting a reality that's not your own, but then that reality is having you do some other entity's work. So you're doing it on their behalf and not even aware of it. That's what I was concerned about, is people are using terminology about what they are, but not certain that frequency is really like it's anytime, like you can say I love dance, which I do, But then my atmosphere around me will start to attract opportunities that will allow me to do what I love to do. That's just basic laws of attraction. But if you say I'm a light worker and not aware that there is a entity and a practice of that term, you are now marrying yourself to that philosophy, and you're fulfilling and living that philosophy. So that's the concern and worry that I have. I'm adjusting my camera here. I'm just worried about our community. There's too many messages coming through, and a lot of them are very impure. A lot of them are not authentic. And I'm not saying everyone, please follow me, follow what I'm saying. I tell you the truth, but I'm just sharing from my experience that I can only follow my own gut and empathy. And a lot of it out there, I'm starting not to feel it. I'm detaching myself from an illusion. And I think that's what's going on. I think a lot of us are like, wait a minute, hold the phone, pause. I did have another vision that I wanted to share with everybody, and I'm going to include that on a part 2 of this video. There's so much going on. I had another dream vision yesterday, and it was about how light codes are associated and how in the past, how the book of Revelations came out of the light codes and how it helped assist Jesus with ascension. And it's sort of like how New Age terminology would have been in an old biblical program, allegedly. So you had the stars and the moon and the sun and everything and the alignments and whatnot. So everything has its geometrical synchronicity. Even, the North Star and all that stuff, blah, blah, and blah. So there was a different way that light codes were utilized back then because, of course, if you had a bigger galaxy then and Earth didn't have, natural pollution, of course, you saw everything out there. You were able to determine and tell stories and all that just from the alignments of the stars. This is why we have connect the dots, right? Nowadays, it's a little different because we can't see much. We can't determine much. So how do we get light codes? Well, and this is why I think the sun simulator is the sun simulator in a weird way. If there is a sun simulator, there's a prism out there, right? There's a prism, or either the sun itself is a prism and not a ball of fire, because we're children of light. Everything's made from light, not heat. Heat is not from fire. Heat is from light and combustion with gas. So, navigating, but a prism has a way to refract light and extract light in other directions. Kind of like what you see on my camera right now. I keep adjusting my camera here because there's too much light coming to the lens of my phone, but there's nowhere to put that light that's coming in. So a prism, which has different angles and shapes, knows how to send off these signals somewhere else. And because we have things like the Fibonacci, Schumann resonance, those measure frequency. Frequency can measure different codes. This is why we have Morse code in the past. Well, we had it. I think we still have Morse code. But I'm just rambling out loud because I have to get it out of my head. I didn't really figure all this out. I would rather write it down. That's why I want to make another video to show you guys what I'm talking about. But I did have another vision, and it was talking about uh, being adherent to these light codes and whatnot. And so for me in my home, I rearranged myself. I did feng shui recently because the way that the sun is coming into my home, I thought, I'm gonna try this little light code theory. So I had a quartz generator that has at least 8 different angles and shapes. And so every morning now, the light of the sun hits my quartz generator, and it's really beautiful in the morning. I'm like, woohoo, all this light. And you know what's funny? I was actually able to stay a little bit more rested this morning because the minerals that come off of stones and whatnot are amazing. People try to disbelieve, but there's truth to having stones. So I basically faced my mirror the same direction as the light of the sun because I want everything to go forward. So anything reflecting can now be unburdened, and now it can go forward. And that's where I face my bed, is at the door facing forward, where the mirror is facing forward, and the sunlight is facing forward. And so just by doing that little bit of feng shui, you can see that the little prism effect is happening on my phone. The feng shui has really allowed me to open my connection to source. And that's all I really want to share with everybody is connection to source is really like the most important thing right now. And I think a lot of these messages and something just doesn't feel right in our community. I think there's too many people involved with our truth community, and they are trying to send us all a different direction. Like they're on purpose, trying to, throw us off course. And even this week, there's a researcher who, I won't say his name because I respect him, but he had the Book of Revelations down to a T by date, time, and event. And he even said, if the rapture were to happen, it will be at this time or that time. And unfortunately, we passed that window period, according to his research. And so he said the next time it would come around would be 10 years from now. I was like, ooh, I can't imagine us being here for 10 more years. But what was fascinating was that had he known what I said in my last video about we are in these Fibonacci time loops. We're in a wormhole right now, and I think that's why the Gregorian calendar was made the way it was, why our American calendar is the way it is, why international calendars are the way that they are, by the date, and adding 4 different months onto our, because September is not the 9th month of the year. It's just a number. So that's clue number 1. October, that's 8, but it's technically it's the 10th month of the year, but we are only, I don't know, it's just weird. Oct means 8, Nov means, 9, and Dec means 10. Deci means 10. Anyways, I navigate. But I think we're in a loophole where these days that I've been talking about, from September 11th until the 20th, it's where the middle number of the date, you add it to the first part of the date, and when you equal them, it'll equal the same day. So, for example, like I was saying, like September 11th, for example, 9 plus 11, if you equal it out, it makes 11. So you have 9 plus 1 is 10, plus 1 is 11. But then the date is September 11th, so you have an 11. So, and then you have 2018, which is 11, which is infinity. So you're in these different codings that Fibonacci itself, if that makes any sense at all. Yay, you understand! So this will be going on until the 19th, and then we have another gap. We have October 1st, and then we have the 10th and 11th. So you will have a lot of these 1-1s and 1-0-1s and 1-1-1s and 11-11s. So I pay attention to a lot of that because we can say, oh yeah, well the rapture's not going to come for 10 years, but then if we have a Fibonacci number coding, quantum coding like that, we don't know how time goes on another cosmic level. So long story short, we can bypass or skip time or Mandela effect or deja vu things in order to shift things a certain way. That, don't you guys understand what's happening? This is how the Messianic belief system works, and this is why dark supports light. Light benefits from dark, you know? So it's kind of fascinating that I'm trying to captivate all of my dialogue by saying we don't know everything, but we can only just be an act of our own instinct and our own feeling and be in our own empathy to really know what's true or not, and to start believing ourselves and try to tune down from watching everyone else, because we're being lied to by somebody. Something just doesn't feel right. But anyways, stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to have it ready in a short while. Have a good day, everybody.